Have you ever felt so stuck, I mean truly stuck, in a problem that you just can't see a way out? You know, that feeling of being completely boxed in? We've all been there. Well, today we're going to explore a surprisingly simple, almost kind of magical question that's designed to break down those very walls. It's called the miracle question. And trust me, it's one of the most powerful perspective-shifting tools you'll ever come across. No, really, just for a second, think about it. That one thing, that one specific thing that's been weighing you down, what if you went to sleep tonight and poof, it was just gone? What would that feel like? That feeling right there, that's the key to everything we're about to unpack. It's the starting line for a whole new way of thinking. Okay, so here's the full question, just like a therapist would ask it. Suppose that after our conversation, you go home and you go to sleep. And while you were sleeping, a miracle happens. The problems that brought you here today are solved. But because this happens while you're sleeping, you don't know that the miracle has happened. So, when you wake up in the morning, how will you discover that this miracle has occurred? You see those little pauses? They're totally intentional. They give the question its weight, and they force your brain to literally bypass the problem and jump straight into what the solution looks and feels like. But why? Why is this one question so incredibly effective? Well, the genius behind it is how it completely shifts your entire mental focus. It's like a psychological judo move, using the weight of the problem against itself. You know how easy it is to get trapped in a problem-focused mindset, right? We dwell on what's wrong, we get stuck replaying the past, and it can feel totally hopeless. But what the miracle question does is it forces this hard pivot. All of a sudden, you're not analyzing the problem for the millionth time, you're actually visualizing the change. You start coming up with your own ideas, and that right there is where you start to feel a real sense of possibility again. And there are really two main reasons why this shift is just so powerful. First off, you have to realize that for a lot of people, this is the very first time anyone has ever seriously asked them to imagine a future where their big problem is just gone. It sounds so simple, right? But when you're completely consumed by an issue, that idea alone can feel absolutely revolutionary. It creates that first crucial flicker of light at the end of the tunnel. And second, and this is huge, you own the solution. I mean, think about it. When someone gives you advice, it's coming from the outside. But when you start describing your morning after the miracle, those ideas are all yours. You came up with them. This creates this profound sense of agency that makes you way more likely to actually do something about it. It's your map, not one that was just handed to you. But here's the thing. That initial answer, that first vision of a better morning, that's just the starting point. The real work, the real magic, happens in the follow-up questions that start unpacking all the little details of this new, miraculous reality. So the first follow-up is all about making that miracle tangible. It's not enough to say you'd feel happier, okay, great, but what would you be doing differently? This is what grounds the abstract idea in specific real-world actions. It moves you from just a feeling to an actual plan. And then, the perspective widens. Who else would notice this miracle happened? Your partner? Your kids? Your boss? What about your dog? Yeah, seriously. Even your pet might notice that you're calmer or more playful. This puts your change into a social context and helps you see the real ripple effects of your new behaviors. And this quote just nails it. We're looking for a doing picture. The whole goal is to get the person to see themselves in action right from the moment their feet hit the floor in the morning. Are you getting out of bed without hitting the snooze button 10 times? Are you actually making breakfast instead of just grabbing coffee? It's all about turning those good feelings into things you actually do. Now, what's really cool is that this question didn't just pop out of nowhere. It actually has a pretty fascinating history, built on the work of some true pioneers in therapy. The idea really evolved over time. It started with giants like the legendary hypnotherapist Milton Erickson. He used what he called a crystal ball technique to get clients to see their future solved and then work their way backward. Then, a therapist named Bill O'Hanlon built on this with possibility therapy, using metaphors like a time machine. But the name we all know today, that came from Steve DeShazer and Insoo Kimberg. The story goes that they were working with a client who was just so overwhelmed, and when they asked her to describe a future without her problems, she just sighed and said that would take a miracle. And boom, the miracle question was born. Of course, life is messy, and the answers aren't always simple. So what happens when a client's miracle seems completely impossible, or it all depends on somebody else changing? Well, this is where a skilled guide can really help navigate the conversation. Yeah, handling these roadblocks is absolutely key. So, for instance, if the answer is something truly impossible, like bringing a loved one back, a therapist might gently scale it back and ask, okay, what would a day that's an 8 out of 10 look like? Or if the miracle is winning the lottery, they dig into the feeling behind it. And what would winning that money give you? And if it's all about someone else changing, the focus gets shifted right back to you. Okay, and if they did that, how would you respond differently? See? They're all just gentle pivots that keep the power and the focus right where it belongs, with you. And the wording can even be tweaked for different people. With kids, for example, a magic wand or a magic potion is often a lot easier for them to grab onto than the idea of a miracle. But there's a really subtle shift in agency there. With the magic wand, it's often the therapist who's imagined waving the wand, which changes the power dynamic just a little bit. It's a small difference for sure, but a really important one. So, when you boil it all down, the true genius of the miracle question is its ability to act as this incredible tool for cognitive reframing. It literally helps you rewire the way you think about your problems. I mean, think about it. When you're forced to describe a positive future in detail, you are actively fighting against all those nasty cognitive distortions. You can't catastrophize a future where the problem is already solved. It shatters all or nothing thinking by forcing you to imagine a completely different reality. It's a direct counterattack against the very thought patterns that keep us feeling stuck in the mud. And it goes even deeper than just logic. This isn't just some abstract mental exercise. When you do this kind of deep visualization, it can actually trigger a real emotional response. It gives you a kind of virtual experience of what success feels like. And that feeling, that sense of the solution being so close you can almost taste it, that is incredibly motivating. So I'll leave you with this thought. What if you asked yourself that question tonight? Forget the big, overwhelming picture for just a minute. If you were to wake up tomorrow morning, what's the first, tiniest, smallest sign you could look for to know that your miracle has started to happen?